Cool. So let's start this. Everybody get up. Let's get up. Let's get a little stretch in. One of these. Yeah. All right. Deep breath in. A little more. Perfect. Okay, you guys can sit down. All right, so imagine this. Two Catholics that have never had their first kiss go out on a Tinder date.
Cringe.
It is. Well, welcome to our story. That's how it started.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to be sharing some real-life examples of navigating dating as Catholics in our 20s. So I'm going to start off when I was in high school. I had never been in a relationship, I'd never gone on a date, and I'd never had my first kiss. It's not because I thought I was ugly. I had a great group of friends. I was confident and sure of myself, and I always stuck with my morals and my values. So even though I really wanted a boyfriend, I wasn't willing to compromise my standards in order to get one. Even though everyone was telling me, your standards are way too high and you just need to lower them. I didn't think they were that difficult to reach, so I'm just going to share them with you. This is the actual list I had. So he needed to be taller than me, and he needed to be older than me. So you check those.
Great.
But next, no drinking, no partying, and no smoking. I didn't partake in these activities, so it would be a no if my partner did those. He had to have ambitions and goals. I didn't want a bum that sat in their parents' basement and played video games all day. I wanted my partner to do things with their life. He also needed to have strong morals and values like I did. And lastly, he needed to be Catholic because my faith is the most important thing in my life. So time went on, and I just told myself I didn't want a boyfriend because I couldn't get one. I convinced myself that I don't need a man, and I was just going to be a rich aunt and businesswoman.
Nice.
I tried to convince myself of that. But if you were to hear my prayers at the time, it would sound a little something like this. God, please give me a boyfriend. Amen.
Amen.
So eventually I gave up hope on that one, and I switched the prayer to, God, please put me on the path that you want me to be on. I pray for my future spouse, if that's your will, and if not, please take this desire away. I'm okay with not being in a relationship for the rest of my life. Just please take away the longing to be in one. And that longing never went away. Years go by, I graduate high school, I'm in college, and all of my close friends moved away. So the friends I have back at home are mostly guys, and all they would do was sexualize me, to the point of me questioning if this is all people see me as. And the only reason why they're hanging out with me was to just look at my body. This sent me down a big spiral on social media, and all of the content that I was soaking up was telling me this is what men want. This is what you have to do if you want a guy to like you. These are the kind of clothes you need to wear in order to get his attention, and this is how you should act if you want a guy. I would see so many videos of girls saying how much they make on OnlyFans, and it got me thinking that since this is all people see me as anyway, why don't I just do it? I mean, it's easy money. I don't have to work at my job anymore, and I knew I would be successful at it. Now, thank God that I never went through with that decision, but I did contemplate it many times. And during all of this, I was a practicing Catholic. I went to Mass every single Sunday, and I was involved in other ministries like a young adult group. Now, I love being Catholic, don't get me wrong, and I love learning more about the Catholic Church and our faith. But I do think there's a couple things that the church can improve on. Number one being reading the Bible. Not just listening to the priests and the lectors up on the podium reciting it every single Sunday, but actually doing it yourself and reading it yourself on a consistent basis. Next is talking about sex. Sex and sexual desire are not bad and they're not dirty. They're a gift from God. And lastly is issues with porn and masturbation. Now, I never thought that I would be able to overcome this, let alone admit it to anyone. But I started masturbating at an early age, around middle school. I don't know why or how it started, but from the moment when it did, it was a constant issue and a daily battle that I struggled with for over a decade. And it was especially difficult as a girl struggling with this, because you always hear it as a guy's problem. So I was so ashamed and embarrassed, and I never wanted anyone to find out. And even though I wanted to stop so many times, I couldn't. I couldn't. And I know I'm not the only one that has struggled with this either, so you don't have to feel alone. Needless to say, I was in a really bad place and something needed to change. My schedule went a little something like this. I'd wake up, I'd go to work or school, go to the gym, go home, masturbate, go to bed, and repeat the same thing every single day. Now, that cycle led to me seeking attention in all of the wrong ways. In the way that I talked, in the way that I dressed, in the way that I acted, and in the way that I presented myself. Which is probably the reason why I downloaded Tinder in the first place. But God works in mysterious ways. Because little did I know my future husband would be downloading the app the same week that I did. So I'm scrolling on there, or swiping, I guess. And one of the first people that I see is Dom. And fun fact, my dad was his 6th grade teacher. So I knew a little bit about him, and I knew we had a couple things in common, and I was definitely interested in getting to know him better. So we matched on Tinder, scheduled our first date, and all of the standards that I had before, he checked off all of the boxes. And I'm thinking to myself, is this guy even real? He's too perfect, and there's no way he's even remotely interested in me.
Yeah, so what she didn't know was that that date would lead to another date, and then another date, and another, and then eventually us standing up at the altar on July 29th of last year, professing our wedding vows. Now, I would go in depth about my single life as well, but it's pretty much just the male story of hers. So I'll just touch on a few key points, which is porn, faith, and Tinder. Porn is straight from the pits of hell. And after a decade-long battle with the habit of porn and masturbation, a priest told me to look into freedom coaching. And they just help people break free from the chains of pornography, both men and women. Fast forward today, and my life has been totally transformed. I'm free from the chains of pornography and can finally live up to my full potential. I can finally become the person that God's calling me to be. So my question for you is, are you becoming the person that God's calling you to be? I was called to lean into my faith and break free from the chains of pornography. I was finally free at last, and the same week that I finally and officially gave that sin over to God was the same week that we started dating. She's truly a gift from God and a reminder to me every day that what I was really seeking in those images, in those pornographic images, was love. And you can't receive all God has to offer to you if your relationship with Him is severed by sin. Frequenting the sacrament of reconciliation was a huge part of being able to get out of the habit, being able to break free, and to truly lean into what God had called me to become. Now, Tinder, my profile was dirt simple. It literally had one picture, and it said, looking for a +1. I already RSVP'd for a wedding for 2 people, didn't know anybody that would go with me, and I was just betting on myself to get somebody to go before that. So, but I did know that deep down I was aching for some sort of godly relationship, not just hey, can you go to this wedding with me? I actually wanted somebody. Now that we covered porn, faith, and Tinder, let's dive into what our dating life looked like a little bit. So obviously from the opening of this, we never had our first kiss, and two Catholics are just going on this Tinder date. Kind of odd, weird, small town. That's why none of the other apps worked. It's like, what's going on here? And the date goes great. We continue to go on dates and eventually become boyfriend and girlfriend. And as our relationship became more and more serious, we started to discern engagement and marriage. After proposing, though, things got pretty crazy. Loved ones, close friends, and doctors encouraged us to do all of the wrong things. They wanted us to have sex before we got married, wanted us to move in with each other before we got married. And really the word was just screaming at us to like halt, stop, and test these things out. Like, test them out before you jump in the water. So we are standing here to be witnesses to God's glory and the plan that he has for love. It's not easy at all, but following God's plan is and always will be worth it. On the other side of the sacrificial love that God is calling us to share in, like his love for us on the cross, there's an abundance of fruit waiting for each and every one of you. God loves you so much, and he wants you to have that fruit. But if you keep holding on to the sin, you can't hold the fruit. So he wants you to have it, and to be able to give those things up to him and let him bless you in abundance is super, super important and powerful. We want to share some of the top 3 things that worked for us to help us during dating engagement, to be able to follow God's plan, to not listen to society, to not listen to the doctors who are supposed to be these professionals telling you to do all these things all before getting married, and things that really helped us face those worldly struggles and deal with temptations.
Okay, so tip number 1 is to date for marriage, because dating is discernment. That's the whole reason for dating. If you didn't know that, there you go. So if you don't see yourself marrying that person, discern a little bit, and just stop dating them if you don't see yourself marrying that person. Don't waste other people's time. Anyways, be intentional with your dating, because dating is not a game. So don't waste your time and don't waste other people's time. You need to skip the talking stage altogether and go on in-person dates and actually call it a date. You're not hanging out. You know what it is, okay? And you want to get to know them in person and put a freaking label on it. Oh my gosh, don't just say you're talking. And set boundaries early on in your relationship.
Yeah, and specifically talking to the guys here, God calls us to be the protector and leader. And most guys think that you have to protect the woman from other guys or outside threats. But really the first thing that you have to protect the woman from is yourself. So that means setting up physical, emotional, and spiritual boundaries really early on.
Mm-hmm. And your partner should complement you, but never complete you. So if you're seeking your other half, that means that you're not ready for a relationship, because you are a whole person, and only God can fill the God-sized hole that you have in your heart.
This one's huge. Cutting out secular media. So what's that look like? That's porn, masturbation, movies, social media, and music. All these things have way more of an effect on your behavior, your thoughts, and your actions than you could ever imagine. And as soon as you start cutting them out, you'll realize that all those bad lyrics that were playing in those songs, all those bad images, even if they're not straight up porn, maybe it's some sort of movie or TV show that you really shouldn't be watching because it has all this other junk in it, it's repeating in your brain and it's affecting your life and the way that you're doing things. So to cut those out, and you'll really start seeing the fruits of those as long as you keep cutting them out.
Yeah, number 3 is to lean into God by following the narrow path. Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 through 14 says, Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many people enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to eternal life, and only few find it. So you need to surround yourself with good influence because you're the sum of your 5 closest friends. This is friends and also people that you follow on social media. Also, you need to read the Bible consistently. So, I don't know, I'm guilty of this, but I never picked up the Bible because I don't like reading, and it was just super, super intimidating to read this like huge book for me, and it's not just one book, it's 73 individual books, a collection of stories, if you will, and they're really good stories, by the way. Not just stories, they're true. So just start small and read 1 chapter a day. And also pray. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. You should do it. Give it a try.
So with all that said, our mission is to make every single one of you a little bit more of a threat to the devil. We want you to stomp the serpent and become the person that God is calling you to be. We want you to take the narrow path. If you got even the slightest bit of value from our talk, laughed a little, enjoyed it, or are just happy that it's over, can you promise me a 1 now, 1 later? A 1 now, 1 later is when we all do 1 now, and then you all, individually, do 1 later. Cool? Cool. Okay, can everybody join us in saying St. Michael prayer? In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Our talk's pretty quick, so.
So this is where we'll open it up to your guys' questions. Anything that you want to ask us, we're like an open book. Okay, go ahead.
Did you end up going to the wedding together?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Was that y'all's first time seeing each other?
No. No, we had gone on a couple dates beforehand, and then he's like, oh, like, there's this wedding coming up, and I need a +1. Yeah. Yeah.
I am currently engaged right now.
Congrats.
Thanks. And this isn't a surprise to me, but being engaged kind of sucks.
I agree. It was terrible. Actually, it was really bad.
Yeah, it kind of sucks a little bit because you're stressed all the time because you're planning things. But then there's the spiritual warfare aspect, and it seems a whole lot bleaker than it actually is. How did you guys combat that? Did you have like a battle strategy, I guess, that you use together or individually to try to, fight against that?
It just sucked all the way through, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was bad, but I don't know if you wanna share anything.
Yeah, I mean, definitely boundaries, and then when one person starts feeling it, obviously things start moving, so just shutting it down as quickly as possible. But not just shutting it down in the fact that, like, we're gonna chain each other to trees, and then as soon as we get married, then everything's on the table type of deal. But thanking God for the desires and for what you want in your heart, because you want to love the other person. And so really thanking Him for that, and then casting out anything that's not from God.
Yeah.
How long were you dating?
6 months. And then we got engaged. Yeah,
Spicy.
I know, a little fast. Whatever. God's timing, okay?
Yeah, dating 6 months, engaged 6 months.
And y'all have only known each other for like almost 2 years?
We've known each other longer, but just started dating at the 6 months, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions? You gotta have something. We gotta fill the time.
Did you guys go to the same school?
No. No. Do you wanna? I don't know if you want more detail on that. Like, you want all the juicy details or what? Okay. No, my dad was a 6th grade teacher, and then he went to a Catholic school, and I'm a public school kid. And then I went to a technical school for film, and Dom was into cameras, and so my dad, knowing him and trying to set us up years ago, was like, hey, you like cameras, Dom likes cameras, like you should give him a call. And yeah, that was our first conversation actually, but nothing came out of that conversation in a romantic way.
Mostly because her dad didn't give me her phone number. It was all through her dad. So that was super awkward.
So you guys were friends beforehand? A
No.
little bit?
Nope.
Well, wait, you guys said you knew each other first.
Yeah, it was
Knew
like,
of each other.
I know of you, like I've seen you around. It's small, like small
Yeah,
town.
it's nothing like out here. It's like Amish country where there's dirt roads and farm.
So how many like dates did you guys go on before you guys were boyfriend and girlfriend?
We were going on dates with each other for about a month before we made it like official.
How long were you engaged?
6 months. It's a nice number.
Yeah, I've been 3 months.
Well, okay, so we got engaged on our 6-month anniversary so that we got married on our 1-year anniversary. I know, super cute. Yeah. What else do you want to know? Zach?
So, what exactly, like, because you knew of him beforehand, like, what exactly made you decide that you actually wanted to, like, pursue the relationship?
Okay, well, I knew my dad approved of him, which was like a big thing. And I remember my dad saying this at one point. Don't tell him that I said this because he'll probably deny it now. But him saying, if there was anyone that I would want Cassidy to date and possibly marry, it would be Dom. So yeah. I don't know, what was the other was there another question with that?
Well, I mean, I was just kind of wondering if you ever, like, mentally kicked yourself because you were like, why didn't I go for him sooner?
No, it was definitely God's timing. Like, it was God revealed us to each other when the time was right. Because it would have been weird if we would have started dating earlier, which sucks because it's like, oh my gosh, where were you when I was in high school? Like, it sucks, but definitely God's timing, and I wouldn't change anything about it. And he also like checked up all the boxes, like, and he looks good too, so that's nice.
It was the glasses, wasn't it?
I do like the glasses. Oh my gosh, actually, my dad. So my dad, I don't know if you had glasses in high school, but you didn't have a whole sleeve yet, and you didn't have a beard. And so my dad's like, oh, like I heard you're going on a date with Dom. Like, you know, he has glasses, right? And he's got like a beard and a whole sleeve. Like, I don't know if you're into that. And I was like, Like, yeah, I am. But anyways, so it was just cherry on top. Anyways,
I don't have.
any questions? What's up?
Did you guys both discern your vacations beforehand?
Explain that.
Yeah.
Like, discern marriage versus anything else?
I don't know if I would say I like completely discerned it. I never had like religious life off the table, but I like was just in that term in my life where I was like, I feel like I should be dating right now, and like the opportunity arose where like we were able to go on these dates and they just went well, so we were like, we're just gonna continue on this path, you know. Yeah.
The only time I really felt called to the priesthood was after we got engaged, which the devil likes to do, and I've heard this from a bunch of different people, because he wants to confuse you and misguide you and get you off the path to where you're called. So since engagement is like that dedication to now becoming married and to entering into that marriage vocation, he likes to plant the little seed of maybe priest. So it's just like praying about it and discerning it again and again and again, and making sure that if it's confusing, well, Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and he doesn't want you to be confused.
Did you think about the priesthood at all before you started dating? Or before you got engaged to her?
No, not really. It was like, that was the weird thing. It was like, man, this thing just started happening as soon as we got engaged. So that was a big help of discerning that it was not of God.
I also wanted to add, while we were engaged, we continually prayed, like, God, if it's your will for us to get married, like, just let us keep doing what we're doing. If not, like, put something in the way to let us know that this is not what you want for us. And that's a really, really hard prayer to pray, especially when you've already, like, you got a ring on the finger and like you're planning a wedding, but to just continually pray that, to have it in God's hands instead of just like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I wanna do. And like, yeah, I don't know.
God's plan is always great as long as it aligns with your plan. So, go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, is there a story behind the whole sleeve?
Yes, I was gonna ask that.
I mean,
I asked
obviously
that on the first date,
I'm into
for sure.
cameras, so it has cameras and movie tickets and things. The most meaningful thing is a camera slate. So like when they do before they film,
Sound effect.
it has my family's initials on like the producer parts. And then this is my grandpa's rosary that he died sleeping with. And then the time on the clock is when I was born. So it's just a reminder to always be praying, keeping God with you till the end of time.
Also, the big word.
Catholic school didn't like this. Go ahead.
Oh,
Oh.
Is there a story behind the shirt too?
oh yeah, sure. So, I don't know. Was that supposed to be for Christmas? I
It's
can't
just-
remember. It was
I just
a
wanted
gift.
your face on the shirt. That's it.
And I saw it on TikTok, but I didn't buy it from TikTok Shop. I like made it myself from Canva. I live and die in Canva, for real. And it wasn't gonna get there in time because I bought him something else. So I made this, and then it actually came in time. It was a whole thing, but like that's the story behind that. And also, funny thing is, Canva, I ordered a men's large, and they sent me like a youth large. So I have one of myself on the shirt also. I don't wear it, even though you want me to. But yeah, weirdly enough.
I like the one where you're dramatically looking off into the distance.
This one?
Yeah.
That's a wedding picture. Yeah. Okay. I keep skipping over here. I'm sorry.
When you guys like first started dating and you like told your dad, was he kind of like wanting to know all the details and was like, oh, what happened?
That was more my mom. Like, oh my gosh, she wanted to know. She wanted to know when like I kissed him. That was a thing. And you would not kiss me for many dates. It was a lot. And it was awkward. It was super awkward. But yeah, it was mostly my mom. My dad was just kind of like, oh, that's weird. Like, you just do your thing. Oh, I'll come back to you for a second.
Okay, so about like the checking the boxes kind of thing, I feel like I hear it in a lot of relationship talks, especially the ones where they say like they meet the perfect guy who like fills all the lists. But do you have any advice for like keeping realistic expectations and like accepting that the other person has faults too, not expect too much from other people, but also understand?
Yeah, I mean, there are non-negotiables when it comes to dating, so like make sure you stick with those. But we're human and we're gonna make mistakes. So I guess, I don't know, it's like weird me giving advice, but like, I guess I'm a pro at dating because I got it right the first time, but I don't know, like, yeah, I guess stick with your non-negotiables because it's like, that's what you live and die by. You know, no matter what, if you disagree on this, it's just going to be a huge issue. But little things, I guess, just having the hard conversations really, really early on so that you kind of get a feel for it rather than wasting your time and being like, oh, I guess we don't agree on these things and like that's kind of a no. So having the non-negotiables, knowing that about them beforehand, and then having hard conversations like as soon as possible.
Which is also hard for a girl because the guy should be leading those things. And it can definitely be a put off if the girl is just like here's all the stuff, let's talk about it, type of thing. So the biggest thing I would say though is I would look less at what they have and more inward and working on yourself, both spiritually, physically, and emotionally, and figuring out all of your baggage before you try to plop that baggage onto somebody else and hope they can deal with it. So I'd become the person that God's calling you to be and really get on that path instead of focusing only on, okay, they check this, because what if you're missing something?
That's true. That was a good point.
Thank you.
Did you have a list?
She actually broke my list.
Oh!
I did?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
That she was supposed to be older because I thought that anybody my age was not mature enough and didn't value the same things. And then we started dating and I was like, well, I guess this is actually working out pretty well. So the cougar thing could go away.
What else? Is there any other questions? Nobody? Oh, okay, sorry. I'm blind.
Just for a second. So, I was just kind of wondering. So, a lot of times I hear about like who makes the first move, like because guys are always saying that they would rather the girl make the first move. What is your response to that? It's like
Guys do not want the girl to make the first move. They want you to obviously express interest in them.
well, what's the difference?
So don't. No, we don't want to feel that you're the leader because we have it built into just the core of our being that we want to be the leader. And so we don't want the girl expressing that masculine, those masculine actions towards us. So if you like a guy and he's leading and he's hinting at stuff, then make sure that he also knows, not the whole dancing around type of deal.
Also, if you want a guy to lead you, you could ask. Obviously that's annoying and it's like, okay, it doesn't count because I asked, but I would say if you want him to open the door for you, it'd be like, could you open the door for me please? I really, really appreciate it when you do that. And yeah, you open up all my doors, my car door, and it's super cute, and old people are like, oh, that's so sweet, I remember when. And yeah. Yes.
I just wanted to add on to that. Men don't want you to lead, boys want you to lead.
Yes.
Come on now, somebody give her the mic.
Yeah.
I was also told one time that if a guy likes you, you won't have to try.
It's true. Yeah. Because they will pursue you if they really want to. Yeah. What's up?
So I know you said you really wanted a boyfriend, but did you really want a girlfriend?
I did. I was really focusing on working on myself leading up to being open to date then. I always wanted something, but I didn't really know what I was aiming for, what I wanted, until I was able to go through the desert and figure out who I was to then figure out what would work for me.
Yes.
Did you both come to peace with yourself and your own relationship with God before you were dating or engaged, or did you have to deal with that?
I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I wasn't in the best spot where I was I'm at total peace right now. But as soon as we started dating, it was this feels right. And a lot of things that I thought that I had healed from before, I was able to open up to him and actually him show me what true love really is, and to be able to be vulnerable and honest. And that felt really peaceful because it was something that I thought I had put behind me years ago, and I guess I didn't. And then whenever I was able to open up in that way and him just love me through that, that felt very peaceful. And then it just got more and more peaceful, to say the same word, when we were moving towards engagement and marriage, just prayerfully discerning that throughout. It wasn't like a big red flag came up and told us to stop. It was just, this feels right. And the only thing that's not getting in the way is God. Like, we had actual signs that were just continually pointing us towards the vocation of marriage.
Yeah, and there's always something more to learn about the faith. Like, you're never going to understand the full depth and width of Catholicism. And so at the point of leading up to starting dating her, I would say, like, wow, this is great. I'm all the way at like this peak spirituality type of thing. And then months go by and you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's like way more that I totally did not see. And it's just slowly getting revealed. So it's a lifelong thing. But there was a sense of peace, I would say, with faith and with God and the whole dating aspect.
Yeah.
When you say like signs that pointed you towards matrimony, could you expand on that?
Yeah, a lot of them were also not revealed until later on. So when I was discerning proposing, I was journaling and praying about it, and then it was revealed that on our third date, we went paddleboarding in the morning for sunrise, and then we went to Mass afterwards. And I've been going to that church for over 10 years. Never once have been asked to bring up the gifts. But the one time that I bring her there, we're asked to bring up the gifts. And that's a foreshadowing of us walking up the aisle and professing our wedding vows. That's probably like the coolest and biggest one.
What do you think is a good age to start dating?
I don't know if there's like, you have to be 16 in order to date, and that's the best age to start dating. Because even though there wasn't like a hard, like, you're not allowed to date before you get to this age, it was just like, I don't feel like I'm ready and I want to focus on these things beforehand. Like, I'm focused on school and I'm focused on like my career and whatever else. So I don't know if there's a specific age, but whenever you feel like you're mature and it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm mature, like I could totally do this. But you're dating for the right reasons also. It's not just like, I don't want to be lonely anymore. Like, I am dating to marry. So as soon as you're like ready to date to marry, that would be the right time to start dating.
And I also get that, like, the first person you date is most likely not going to be your spouse. But, and it's also different in different cultures. So around the world, dating and marriage is way younger than it would be in the United States, or even in subsections of the United States. Like here, it would be different than in Ohio, in the bush or wherever we're at out there. And so just prayerful discernment and asking God what he thinks, and then reflecting on the answers that you get. Because it depends on the person, depends on culture, and it depends on all the surroundings.
Yeah.
Did you ever go through periods of time where you knew you wanted to get married, but just felt like it wasn't worth to keep trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend?
There was actually a time when I was like, I haven't gotten a boyfriend yet, it's never gonna happen. And so I just don't want it. Like, I am going to be single the rest of my life and I'm fine with that. Like, I'll just make tons of money and my siblings can have kids, and then that'll like fulfill me because I could just hop them up on sugar and then like send them off, you know. So no, I didn't feel necessarily that way. But as time went on, like that mindset shifted into like, yeah, I don't necessarily want to climb the corporate ladder and do all this. Like, I actually want a guy to lead me instead of me having to like be masculine in myself all the time. Like, I can let go and just be feminine, and like I know he can take the lead. I don't know if that answered your question. That kind of like went off, but yeah.
What made you choose to download Tinder? Like, did something
No, that was just me being me. There's also nobody around us, so like all of the smaller dating apps, you got nobody. So that's another reason.
Yeah, none of the other things were working, and the small town that we're from, if you try to do some sort of Catholic or Christian dating thing, it's like weirdly cringe, like even more cringy than the story we just told you, and it's just not great. And yes, there's a bunch of old people on those apps, but that's not what I was looking for. I meant just like a couple years older, not like 10 or 20. So.
Why do you think the first person you date probably not be the first person, will not be the first person you marry?
Because that's just what reality is. Most people go on have different dates, and it depends what you call it too. Like if you're super serious and you're not gonna call it boyfriend, girlfriend, or put anything on it, and you just call it like hanging out or whatever, then maybe it would be the first person.
Yeah.
But if you're calling it what it is, then most likely you'll be going on dates with different people here, different people here, and obviously ending and starting relationships. So, I have no experience with that. I'm just saying statistically, it probably won't be the first person.
So you're saying that if you're friends before you start officially dating, it'll be more likely to like work out, or that to be the actual person because you knew them more before you started dating, or
Nope.
like,
I'm just saying statistically, it's probably not going to be the first person you date will be your spouse. I also don't have any information to back that up other than I know people break up and get together a ton.
Would you say that like two people should get to know each other better through parties and public things before they start dating exclusively?
I don't really know. It's good to kind of like get a feel for what other people think of that person, like the community and friends if they know who they are and maybe they've heard things or whatever beforehand to be able to understand what those are and then maybe bring those up to that person if they're red flags and talk to them about it. But it kind of just depends on the situation, I think.
Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to, I guess an example of this would be as soon as I was done with the date, like I'm, not even as soon, like in the middle of the day, I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like in the bathroom texting my girlfriend, like, you're never gonna guess what he did. And like wanting to see her opinion on all of this stuff. And then all of the people, what?
When she went to the bathroom though, I offered to hold her purse and she thought I was gonna steal it.
It was a first date. Like, you don't take my purse. It was a sweet gesture. And I was like, oh my gosh, she grabbed my purse and it was very sweet. And then I took it from you and went to the bathroom. But yeah, then all of my friends, like my dad approved of him. Like we knew his family. Like it's not like we were complete strangers. So that was helpful. But I don't really know where I'm going with this. But seeking approval and just seeing what your friends think of whoever this person is, and especially your family as well, is very important.
But don't only lean on them because they could be giving you wrong advice or like things that are actually good. They're like, no, like they're too Catholic or something. It depends on who those people are and what type of advice. Because doctors and friends were telling us to do things that we shouldn't be doing before we get married and would have either severely damaged or totally ruined the relationship if we were to get into those things beforehand.
What did your parents think?
And
My-
particularly your mother.
What did my mother think of her? She joked about that we would get married, so she liked her.
Did you guys have any siblings who were married before you guys got married?
First.
Yeah.
Both first. My brother, was he engaged at the time?
He got engaged
Yeah.
first.
He was engaged first, but we got married first.
We got
that's
engaged
fun.
after and married before. So.
Yeah. But no, we're still the only ones that are married.
I have 4 siblings that are married, so I'm just kind of curious.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 5. So
It might make it easier though, because your parents and everybody have gone through the ringer with the wedding planning. First round, I'd say, is pretty rough trying to communicate.
Kind of like first two rounds in one shot, because my oldest two siblings got married pretty close together, so we kind of knew both of them at once.
Fun. Nice tornado of chaos. I like that.
I was just a bridesmaid, so I didn't have to do anything.
Was there someone that raised her hand in the back? I don't know if I missed anybody. No? Yes? I don't want to like call someone out and be like, did you raise your hand? Then they like awkwardly say no. Anybody else? Oh, you? Yes?
Do you work out?
I do, yeah.
Noah.
Yes.
How was marriage prep and like how was your priest?
It depends on the diocese. Our personal like marriage prep, we did read The Good News About Sex and Marriage even before we got engaged, I think. I don't know. We read that, so that was like technically marriage prep. And it was a really, really good book. Even if you're not married or even in a relationship, I recommend reading that book. It is really, really good. It's by Christopher West, and I don't like reading, but I like that book, so that's telling you something.
That one's good because it gets in the spicy details and he doesn't beat around the bush. Like it's question and answer format, and he just like, if you think it's great. Flip through the pages and you'll be like, what's that? I want to read more.
And then other things that our diocese has us do is pre-Cana, which is like a one-day retreat where all of the engaged couples come for the day, and there's a bunch of married mentor couples, I guess, and they give talks, and each of their talks is just about a specific topic like sex or NFP or like finance, whatever it may be. So they give talks about that. And then they do a specific mentor couple where you like take a test, and it basically gives them like all of our dynamics as a couple. Like, okay, maybe we need to work on communication. Communication was also our top, but it's kind of going through the hard things if we hadn't had those conversations beforehand, that they made sure that we had those. So that was another thing. And what else was there?
I would do more than what the diocese and your church is asking you to do, because a lot of topics get brushed over. They're talking to a large, what?
Also, Chris's wife.
They're talking to a large audience, and we unofficially had Laura Ricketts do our marriage prep because we wanted to make sure all the bases were covered. So the one-on-one really helped, and then it depends on who's actually doing it and if they get into the details that they need to get into. So it really depends on the church and everything. So I just do a lot more research.
Yeah.
What was the book called again?
The Good News About Sex. The Good News About Sex and Marriage by Christopher West.
I'm assuming, but I'll ask anyways. Did y'all get married in the church? And also, if you did, like in a church, if you did you do like a ceremonial thing outside for like pictures and stuff like that?
This is a fun one. We did get married in the church. We wanted to get married at the Servants of Mary Center for Peace, which is the largest statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe in the world, out there in the middle of nowhere. And we couldn't get permission from both dioceses. It was on the edge of the diocesan border.
So one diocese said yes, the other said no, which was annoying.
Yeah, so we did end up, and they have a chapel and everything, and they have mass every first Saturday. So it was basically like a church, but they wouldn't allow us to get married there. So we did get married in a church. And what do you mean by like just staging pictures outside, I guess?
Well, kind of like you do like the church ceremony, and then like kind of like it's like hard to explain, kind of like a second one just for like just
Oh,
like
I know. Like if you want like a pretty location, like outdoors or something like that.
Specifically for pictures?
Kind of.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
There's not like a ceremony or anything. It was just like, okay, everybody gets staged and we took pictures.
What's your max bench? There are stupid questions.
We were all thinking about 20 minutes.
We're all thinking.
I don't do maxes because you're more likely to get hurt. So I could at least rep 200 a couple times.
How many reps?
Oh my god.
Let's go 5.
All right, I don't know. We're all thinking it.
Any active questions? Maybe one more?
Yeah.
Did getting married at a young age help you guys kind of grow together in your relationship?
I'd say the biggest thing is that you're not so built in your routines yet. And since we weren't living together before we got married, it wasn't like we had these, I don't know, like these,
Different worlds.
yeah, 2 different worlds that then you're like, no, I'm doing it this way and I've been doing it for 30 years like that. So you're gonna have to do it that way too. I say, yeah, it would be easier, but there is also struggles like financials, the market right now blows, things like that. Gas prices through the roof.
But also, you hear like, oh, you're so young, like you shouldn't settle down, like you don't want to go travel the world and live your life? It's like, why wouldn't I want to do that with the love of my life and having all of those experiences with him? So, yeah, I'd much rather have that than anything else. Anything else?
Okay, what's that?
What was the last one? He can squat a lot. He can squat a lot.
All right.